Now, maybe a word or two from Colin James. What are we seeing now?
Well, we're seeing two things. We're seeing, certainly it looks now quite definite, there is a swing from National to Labour across the country. Our predictor is saying that there will be a majority of between 19 and 27 seats to Labour at the end of the night. The second thing we're seeing is that social credit seems to be being almost wiped out, except where it said it would do well, in the seats that it holds now, or held before today, and in the seats where it thought it had a good chance. Pakaranga, for instance, Neil Morrison doing very well there, Gary Knapp holding East Coast Bays. We've yet to get a clear indication from Rangatike. So we're getting what looks like a tactical election, a vote against the government.
Thanks, Colin. We're just repeating before we go to the commercial break that Gary Knapp has broken down all the barriers and got us our first final result. He tells us that he has held East Coast Bays. We're back after this commercial break.
Pre-takeoff fruit juice, refresher towels, free drinks and free headsets, things for the kids, famous Aussie beers, a sumptuous three-course meal, superb Australian wines, friendly people. And what do you call this, Qantas?
Eddie, this is Qantas economy class.
Economy? Qantas, you obviously don't know the meaning of the word.
Do you know the word for what's good for you? We know the word that helps you grow so strong and tall. We know the word. Spread the word and the word is spread the word for good. Spread the word for natural. Spread the word for the taste. Spread the word. Spread the word.
There's only one word for nature's taste. Nature's spread.
Welcome back to Decision 84. Just repeating that Gary Knapp has usurped the system, the telephones, the radios, the television and everything, and told us direct from the returning office up there in East Coast Bays that he has held that seat with a substantially increased majority. We have some more progress results, however, for you. In Glenfield, where we find that Judith Keel, the Labour Party candidate, is leading David Schnauer after 34% of the vote has been counted there. That's a progress from Glenfield.
Well, some indications there from our prediction system that things are not going too well for National, and they didn't pick up one of the seats which they really thought they would today. That's East Coast Bays. Standing by now is National's president, Sue Wood. Sue Wood, with what we've seen in the last few minutes, how are you feeling?
Well, obviously I'm a little anxious, and what we've seen in this election so far, and it's far from over yet, is that we're in fact seeing two elections. Similar to 1981, we're seeing one election taking place in the cities where we're not doing well at all. We're holding out extremely well, however, in the provincial towns.
Well, Sue Wood, we're having some difficulty hearing you, or at least I am in the studio. We'll try and come back to you as soon as we can get a little bit clearer line feed there. Thanks.
We've got a progress, Fred, now, while you were talking there. I must confess I had some difficulty hearing Sue Wood too, but we have a progress from Gisborne with 25% of the vote counted there, where we see that Alan Wallbank is holding that seat ahead of the challenge of Bob Bell.
Well, Bob Bell, of course, is actually theoretically the sitting
right.
MP, but with the majority going against him.
Yes, this is a bit confusing because it's you know, I mean, Bob Bell is the sitting member, isn't he?
Indeed, he is the sitting member, but the boundary changes went against him, so Alan Wallbank holding Gisborne would not really be a surprise.
All right.
We've got some predictions now for you, predictions for the country as a whole. We're looking now at the indicator seats, which we talked about at the beginning. We're saying that Miramar, which is a Labour seat at the moment, would be held by Labour. We're saying that National will in fact gain Rangatike. We're saying that the West Auckland seat will be in fact held by Labour. I think that should be, because I think after the boundary changes, West Auckland theoretically is a Labour seat, and that East Coast Bays, as we know, has been held by Social Credit. Gary Knapp announcing the result to us. We don't yet have a prediction for Eden, although of course Mr Malcolm did indicate that things were not going terribly well for him. In Waitaki, we're predicting a Labour gain, but Horowhenua, another seat that Labour was very keen to pick up, we're saying that National might well hold that. Colin, anything we can comment about at this stage?
Well, I think those predictions have to be taken. Those predictions have to be taken a bit carefully, because we're not really yet predicting a national gain in Rangatiki. That's off only one booth. Horowhenua, in fact, we're now predicting a Labour gain on the latest information. So I think that picture shows a more confused situation than actually seems to be developing. I don't know.
So as we get more of our booths in, we'll be able to firm up on those predictions.
Well, I don't know why those predictions have come out on the screen as they have.
Colin James and Fred Cockram there beginning to sort the evening out. Well, as we explained a little earlier on, we had our problems getting through to the Prime Minister's headquarters in Tamaki, but we can tell you that we have made contact and watched his arrival just shortly.
Sir Robert Muldoon arrived a while ago in the Kohimarama Tennis Club, where he and others from the Tamaki electorate will be monitoring tonight's results. He was looking very relaxed and cheerful. National Party supporters gave him a big welcome, and the atmosphere at the tennis club is cheerful. No one seems at all concerned about the early returns.
You've got everybody. You may as well, because you've got everybody else worried for you.
There were lots of hugs and kisses for Sir Robert.
It's Robert Muldoon there, arriving at his electorate headquarters in Tamaki. We've got some more progress results now. Progress results first for Rangatiki. Progress result, 42% of the vote counted. Mr Marshall for National ahead, 3686, but as Colin said, we've only one of our indicator booths in out of that, so the prediction that we had before may still be a little bit hairy perhaps. Mr Beetham, Social Credit, 2549. Another prediction, Marlborough, yes, estimated vote count there, 54. Doug Kidd still reasonably comfortably in front at this stage, the sitting National MP, 4613. MacDonald for Labour, 3944.
Well, just a moment ago we had some difficulty hearing what Sue Wood was saying at National Party headquarters in Wellington, in the capital. We're going to have another go and see if we can talk to her and say, Sue Wood, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Nice to see you again. First of all, the mood of the evening seems to be a little sombre around the National Party gatherings of the country. Do you know something about what's going on that we don't know yet?
No, I think that it's fair to say that it's quietened down because you asked everybody to quieten down, Rodney.
Do we have that much impact on the National Party?
One likes to think so from time to time.
All right, well, we've seen the Prime Minister arriving at Tamaki. He looked in good spirits. Have you been talking to him today?
I have been talking to him today, not this evening yet.
Yeah, what sort of mood is he in? I mean, I'm not being rude in any way, but I mean, is he buoyant? Is he excited? He's been around for a long time. One election's much like another, presumably.
He was very buoyant today. We had a good chat, and he was very happy with the feel of things in Auckland.
Do you two have a sort of prediction for the night worked out, what you expect in terms of a result?
No, we don't.
No, all right. Sue Wood, thank you very much talking to us at Wellington National Party headquarters. We'll be in touch with you again later on in the evening.
Thanks very much.
From one party president to another, to Jim Anderton, who's waiting for us in Christchurch. Mr Anderton, how do things look for you now? Mr Anderton, I don't know whether you can hear us, but how are things looking from your end of the country?
Well, I think they're looking good. As I said earlier, Labor's going to win this election, and I think that we'll win by a substantial margin, but the results are still patchy, and I think it's too early to give any kind of firm indication as to the margin. But we're confident of victory, and I think we'll have an effective working majority, and that is the first hurdle to get over.
Any parts of the country that worry you at this stage?
Well, I think in various provincial towns there are obviously still some regional effects, and they won't come to count, as far as I'm concerned, until all of the main booths are in, and there'll be a lot of urban booths that are coming in late, and they're the ones I think that will swing the balance, and I hope in Labor's favour, and it looks very promising at the present time.
Well, does your party have any system, or do you have any gut feeling about how the evening might end up?
Well, I think we'll be celebrating the early hours down here in Christchurch.
Are you going to put a majority on it at this stage?
No, I don't. I think it's too early yet, and I think when giving another half, three-quarters of an hour, we'll have a very firm indication from some of those provincial towns. That's what we're looking for.
Mr Anderson, thanks.
Thank you.
It's a little difficult to hear some of these people, such as the order of their celebrations around the country. Goodness only knows what it's going to be like when we actually get some significant volume of results in. We, in fact, have a progress on Wellington Central. Wellington Central, a progress where Fran Wild, the sitting member, has taken a comfortable lead over her National Party opponent, Rosemary Young-Rouse, after 78% of the vote has been counted. To West Auckland, one of those critical marginal seats, after 73% of the voters counted there, it's looking very good for Labour's Jack Elder over sitting member Dale Jones. It's a significant margin there for him after 73% of the vote has been counting, and it looks as though Dale Jones may be facing
well, it'd be very difficult,
an uphill fight there to claw that back, I think.
Very
Fred.
difficult with 73% of the vote counted to see Dale Jones bring that sort of lead back. Western Hutt now, a progress from Western Hutt, 46% of the estimated vote in there. John Terrace for Labour, well out in front with almost half the vote counted, 4027. Tanner for National, 2645.
Down to Invercargill for a progress result down there where Norman Jones, but one of the characters in the House, and I suspect that the fact that he's had a go at the Prime Minister from time to time and has been an argumentative sort of member on a number of issues has maybe helped him tonight, Fred.
Well, he certainly is a character, and maybe he's holding out against a swing. He's got, I suppose, an adequate majority at this stage. Certainly with 85% of the vote counted, it looks as though he might well hold on there. Manurewa now, one of the Auckland seats. Roger Douglas there, 71% of the vote counted. Roger Douglas, 6551. Leenstra for National, 3249. No real surprise.
We have a progress result here from Mangere, the seat held, of course, by the leader of the Labour Party, David Longy. Only 20% of the vote in there, and that's really not telling us very much at all in view of some of the other more significant progress results that we've had. In fact, back in the Decision 84 studio, we have Sir Wallace Rowling. Sir Wallace, you've been watching proceedings here tonight. What are your impressions so far about what's happening around the country?
Well, I think, as far as I'm concerned, coming very much to prediction. I'd have to tell you that I left a prediction with the boys at the airport in Nelson yesterday that Labour would have a 17-seat majority. I think that won't be too wide of the mark in the final analysis.
We've been talking to Peter Nielsen out there in Miramar. He's one of the young rising stars of the Labour Party. It must be a big night for a lot of these young blokes. I mean, you've been in politics for a long time now. What goes through your mind on a night like this when the progresses are coming in?
Well, it's a pretty nerve-wracking experience for any politician unless they're in an absolutely safe seat, and it obviously is a great delight to see a person who's worked like Peter Nielsen secure a good working majority, and to know, more importantly, that he's going to be part of a government. I think winning in your own constituency is one thing, but then having the frustration of endless years in opposition is something quite different.
All right, Sir Wallace Rowling, we'll be back and talk to you later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
More progresses now. First one up from Fendleton, and in Fendleton we've got an estimated vote count there, 34% in. Philip Burton still in front, 3049. Dobson for Labour, 2857. Again, this is one of the seats which Colin told us at the beginning of the evening we should watch to see if there's any really significant sort of swing against the government. It's not showing at this stage that Philip Burton is in any real danger, but a couple of hundred ahead and still about 60% of the vote to come in. A lot could happen yet in Fendleton. We don't really know which booths have been counted. Pakuranga now, and at this stage, Social Credit in front with 60% of the vote counted. Not a lot in it, though. Morrison for Social Credit, 4257. Pat Hunt, the sitting MP for National, 4144. Grierson for New Zealand Party, 2056. Williams for Labour, well back now in fourth, 1562.
Thanks, Fred. Well, it's all moving very fast here. It's almost too difficult to keep up with, but we're going to catch our breath here, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
Special treat to steal the show. It's time to go and leave that one-way street. When days have flown, my how they've grown, and your future famous dancer. When you need us, we'll be waiting, because Bangkok is the answer. It's the one to let you run your life the way you should today. Bangkok's the answer.
Firestone Eurosteel.
Firestone Eurosteel.
An oval footprint for ultimate grip. Straight sidewalls give sharper steering, more control. developed in Europe for the world's most demanding drivers.
Firestone Euro Steel.
Specially constructed for New Zealand's unique conditions.
Euro Steel, it's the feel.
Euro Steel from Firestone.
Welcome back to Decision 84, and we do have a decision for you, another final. Awarua, the most southerly seat in the country, a final from Awarua. There we see that National have held the Awarua seat. Rex Austin, the sitting MP for National, 8068. Barry Raitt for Labour, 7771. Roy, New Zealand Party, 1578. Henderson, Social Credit, 1207. There we see a majority of only 297 on election night for Rex Austin. That's a swing of a marginally over 4% to the Labour Party there. Not enough to unseat Rex Austin on the night. Perhaps we could just ask Colin James very briefly at this stage whether special votes are likely to have very much effect on a seat like Awarua, where the National MP is in front with 297.
Well, special votes, I think, on past performance should favour Mr Austin. He should consider himself safe on that. But notice the swing in that seat, around about 4%, and that's a little less than the overall swing that our computer system is predicting for the country as a whole, and it is enough. If Labour gets that sort of swing in enough seats, that's enough for Labour to be sure of being the government, and that does seem to be reflecting in other seats around about that sort of margin.
We've got a progress now. Progress from Hamilton East, with 69% of the vote counted in Hamilton East. Dr. Ian Shearer in a bit of difficulty there by the look of it, starting to get up towards a full count in Hamilton East. And Mr. Dillon for Labour, 5416. Dr. Ian Shearer for National, 4546. Evans for New Zealand Party, 1493. Coker for Social Credit, 417. Progress with 69%.
Another progress here, Fred. This one's very interesting. It's from Ohariu. After 67% of the voters counted there. It's not very conclusive, but Peter Dunn, the Labour candidate, is at the moment out voting Hugh Templeton, the sitting member, of course. Bob Jones, the New Zealand Party leader in that seat also, and that's a very strong showing from him. Longcar Social Credit, 159.
Yes, in fact, it's almost a three-way race there. We've got a prediction for Ohariu on the basis of the indicator booths we now have, and we are, in fact, predicting a Labour gain, which is probably not surprising in view of the figures we've just seen, with quite a large share of the vote counted. Ohariu now a probable Labour gain according to our prediction system. Colin, is there anything we can say about Ohariu?
It's interesting to note that the swing there was around about 7%, a bit over 7%. And it does seem as though, just a minute, 7.7% is the figure given to us. It does seem as if there may be something akin to the 1981 position when the provincial seats swung more or less nationalwards and the big city seats swung to Labour. It looks as though the swings, at least the first two that we've got in, the swing is less in a provincial seat than it is in an urban seat.
So we're actually getting, to some degree, two different elections occurring tonight, as we saw before.
Well, it looks like that in the first two. I don't want to make any sort of definite statement about that at the moment, but that is beginning to look the case. Wellington Central, for instance, looks as though it's going pretty solidly to Labour.
But certainly it does look at this stage as though there is an irregularity between around the country, and it often depends upon the performance of Social Credit and the New Zealand Party.
Well, that's that variation we talked about at the beginning of the evening that seems to have been developing to an increasing extent in recent elections. In Invercargill, for instance, we're predicting Norman Jones to hold there. So yes, there does seem to be that variation.
If I can ask you two gentlemen just to give us a moment, because in fact we have the Prime Minister standing by. He is up in his Tamaki electorate, of course, and just a few moments ago he was collared by a reporter up there, John Bishop.
Well, as I said before, it'll be very close on a number of seats that will decide it. And the arithmetic says that unless there is a substantial swing to Labour, they don't get enough seats to make a government. So it's early yet.
When you arrived tonight, you showed every sign of you were preparing to enjoy yourself.
Well, I am going to enjoy myself. Why not?
You've been around some of the electorates in Auckland today.
Yeah.
How are things looking there?
All right. Some will be very close. But, well, we just have to see.
Organisationally, is there anything more that the party could have done?
No. I think our organisation is better than that of the Labour Party, wherever I've been, but, you're going to have some very, very close results tonight.
What do you make of the early results so far that you've seen?
Well, no more than I've just said, but you're going to get some very close results.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll be talking to you again later in the evening.
Okay.
John Bishop there with Sir Robert Muldoon, and we should say that that interview with Sir Robert was actually recorded a few minutes ago, so we've had some additional information in there. Just confirming a final now, confirming the final that Gary Knapp, in fact, announced to the world. East Coast Bays, Gary Knapp for Social Credit, holding on a comfortable majority, 9500. Murray McCulley for National, 7459. Phillips for the New Zealand Party, 1904. Smythe for Labour, back in the fourth place, 1850. That gives a majority on election night of 2041 to Gary Knapp. Quite an appreciable improvement by him, and in fact a swing from National towards Social Credit of 5.13%. We should perhaps say at this stage that Mr. Phillips, who's representing the New Zealand Party in the seat in this election, was the man who stood as an independent National candidate in the past against Frank Gill when he was the National MP there. Progress now from Waitaki, 62% of the vote in Waitaki. Labour candidate Mr. Sutton is in fact now in front by a few hundred, 4971 of the sitting MP and Cabinet Minister Jonathan Elworthy for National, 4154. 62% of the vote in there. Hamilton West, a progress from Hamilton West, and again a National MP behind at this stage of the evening to Mr. Mallard for Labour, 4860. Mike Minogue barely behind, 4768. I think we'll have to wait a little bit, Rodney, before we say too much more about that one. Still,
yes, it's less
very,
than 100,
very
isn't it?
close.
Yeah.
Quick look at the state of the parties now with that race on, and could it be closer? 3 seats in, 111. Yes, I suppose it could be closer if the New Zealand Party had one. However, a long way to go to that success line. 48 seats, 1 to Labour, 1 to National, 1 to Social Credit. We've got another final coming in, Rodney.
Yes, well, this will change the state of the parties. In fact, we're going up to Hawke's Bay, and the Hawke's Bay final tells us that Sir Richard Harrison has lost his seat there,
that's a change there.
And Bill Sutton has taken this seat for Labour. Bill Sutton has taken Hawke's Bay for Labour with the majority on the night of 946. The swing, an almost unbelievable 9.29%.
Well, that, of course, is one of the seats that's been slowly contracting in. It was a wholly rural seat. It's been slowly contracting in on the seats of Napier and Hastings, and that sees the Speaker of the House, quite a long-term Member of Parliament, Sir Richard Harrison, out in Hawke's Bay. A majority of 946 to Mr. Sutton on election night puts him probably, well, certainly, I would say, beyond any danger from specials going against him. So we have a change there. Labour have gained Hawke's Bay and unseated the Speaker of the House, Sir Richard Harrison. Another final now, Manawatu. They're starting to flow in, and Manawatu National have held. Mr. Cox, the present incumbent there for National, 8306. Alton for Labour, 8018. Sari for New Zealand Party, 1958. Pedley for Social Credit, 802. A majority of only 288, and again we're seeing a pretty substantial swing there towards Labour, 5.59%. The swing away from National towards Labour in the seat of Manawatu. 288, a moderately comfortable majority, and from past performance on special votes, we would probably expect Mr. Cox not to be threatened by the specials coming in, with him holding a majority there.
Specials seem to favour National in the past, Fred, according
State
to the
of the parties, 4 finals in now. Labour 1, National 2, Social Credit 1. A long way to go towards that 48 line, but more finals expected fairly shortly. Right, we've got some more progresses coming to us now, and next one up, Bay of Islands. Bay of Islands progress coming to us. 58% of the vote there in the Bay of Islands. Neil Austin, that is, 4205, and Social Credit, Les Hunter for Social Credit, 2386. McIntyre of Labour, 2168, and it seems as though social credits, one of their big hopes, not coming to fruition tonight for them. Probably there with 58% of the vote counted, it looks very much as though Mr Neil Austin is going to hang on. Another final coming to us. Manurewa, another final from Manurewa. Labour have held the seat, I guess not surprising in view of the trends we've seen so far. Roger Douglas for Labour, 9450. Leenstra National, 4790. Jack for the New Zealand Party, 1994. Kilford Social Credit, 834. A majority there, 4660 to Roger Douglas, a swing of 5.41% towards Labour.
It is starting to get very busy here. I know a number of you around New Zealand are having parties tonight. I wish you well. Have one for Fred and Colin and myself, Willie. We'll see you after this commercial break.
From the stable of Mitsubishi, the new Tredia, a thoroughbred built to respond to any challenge. Superbly equipped, beautifully engineered, sheer design excellence. Tredia, it puts you in command of the ride and handling that promises never to let you down. Tredia, at your Todd dealer, the new champion from Mitsubishi.
Is your skin really clean? Jill's washed her face. It looks clean. But see those hidden impurities? Leftover makeup, grime, and clogged pores. I recommend Pond's Deep Cleanser, uniquely formulated to penetrate deep into the skin's layers. See the difference Pond's Deep Cleanser makes? Really clean skin.
Use Pond's Deep Cleanser. Make sure your skin is really clean.
And beautiful.
Welcome back to Decision 84, and we're going to go to one of the more fascinating seats here in Wellington. Indeed, one of those seats that seems to encapsulate this whole election. The two candidates are typical representatives of their party. They're both women. We're going to Wellington Central. We're going to talk to Fran Wild and also to Rosemary Rouse. I think they're there. Are they there or not? Good afternoon, good evening, ladies. First of all, Fran Wild, can we talk to you and just have a quick chat? I don't know where the noise is coming from. Is it coming from your party headquarters?
I think it's coming from our very pleased supporters here in Wellington Central headquarters.
What is making them pleased?
Well, I think we've won overwhelmingly. In fact, we've more than doubled our majority.
Rosemary, would you like to concede that to Fran Wild?
Yes, I would. Congratulations, Fran. You're the new MP for Wellington Central. And one thing I've learned is that being an aspiring MP is very hard work, so you'll have 3 years hard work ahead of you, I know.
Thank you, Rosemary, and thanks for the great fight.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you in Wellington in the next 3 years. Thanks. Right. Bye.
All right, Fran Wild there, having accepted a concession from Rosemary Young Rouse in Wellington Central, and very gracious it was too. Fred, have we got...
Well,
am I seeing this, a Labour
I-
gain in Hamilton West?
I'm not entirely sure whether we've got this confirmed, but the latest we hear, it seems to be that we've got a Labour gain in Hamilton West. That's the situation? Yes, it looks at the moment as though we do in fact have a Labour gain in Hamilton West. We'll try and get the figures for you as soon as they come in. As the figures pile in into the computer, we're
Trevor Mallard
putting them to
takes,
air as high as we can. Yes, Trevor Mallard has in fact taken Hamilton West for Labour. 5949, and Mike Minogue, a controversial MP, national MP, losing that seat, 4810. Fairly substantial majority there, really, for Mr. Mallard, 1139. Vorsman for the New Zealand Party picks up 1013. Crosby for Social Credit, 498. A swing there, very substantial swing in the face of Mike Minogue's own personal popularity, as we've often heard in that electorate. Swing towards Labour of 8.92%. in Hamilton West. Hamilton West being picked up by Labour, a majority of 1139.
OK, a very interesting result there. A lot of people who thought that Mike Minogue might survive there because of his opposition to the Prime Minister, but in fact he's gone down on the night. Now, in fact, we're going to cross to Mangere, to Labour Party headquarters up there, and the arrival of the party leader, Mr David Longy.
I get it? Hold him there. Is your supporter there right, are you, Prime Minister, Mr. Logie?
It appears so. If you can win Hawke's Bay, you can win just about everything.
How do you feel?
I feel a tremendous sense of responsibility descending on me. All of these people are cheering. I'm thinking of a deficit, an overseas debt.
You're thinking of a deficit at a time like this?
Well, we've got to start to work out. I'm not, actually. I just think it's a tremendous night.
Did you expect to win Hawke's Bay?
I had hoped to win Hawke's Bay. That's why I spent Wednesday night there.
Any prediction on the majority at this stage?
We should have at least 15.
Mr. Logie, I'll let you get back to your supporters.
All right, thank you. Where's my mum? Is she? Come over here.
Well, fairly triumphant David Longy there up in his Mangere electorate. We've got some more predictions on the critical seats now, and our computer is now in fact predicting that Rangatiki will be held by social credit. More of the indicator booths in now than our earlier look at that. Rangatiki to be held by social credit. Colin, this tends to confirm that the reservations that you had about that earlier comment.
Yes, indeed, and in fact I don't know how that earlier one got on screen, because at that time the information that we had tended to indicate that the prediction would come out the way that it has. I think the thing to say about that is that the social credit tactic, as I said before, of advising voters in seats where social credit was strong to vote social credit seems to have worked. They've held East Coast Bays. They look as though they'll hold Rangatiki, and Neil Morrison's doing very well in Pakuranga so far. But the other social credit seats, it doesn't look as though they are. The other seats, they don't look as though they're doing so well.
Does it look as though, in fact, social credit voters have made the decision themselves what they do not want a national government, and so they will put their votes where the seat is most likely to fall?
I think Bruce Beetham summed it up at the very beginning of the campaign, or before the campaign, on the Saturday night, when he and Mr. Longy replied to Sir Robert Muldoon's initial State of the Nation address, and he said, vote against the Muldoon candidate. And people seem to have tactically voted against the Muldoon candidate. Labor, where the Labor had the best chance, social credit, where social credit had the best chance.
Well, Colin, we've got some more rather interesting progresses coming up.
The first one, in fact, Fred, comes from Eden, where we've already heard from Mr. Malcolm that he's not entirely happy about the way things are going, but that progress after 14% of the votes counted shows Mr. Malcolm in front with a lead of 51 votes.
Well, that certainly seems surprising that there's only 14% of the vote counted there. I expect they're actually a little bit further ahead. We hope we'll be hearing from them soon.
We're going down to the South Island, down to Fendleton. 34% of the vote counted there. And a lead for Philip Burden over Murray Dobson after 34% of that vote counted in Fendleton. On to Glenfield, 76% of the vote counted here. And in fact, this is interesting because I think this has changed, hasn't it, Fred, since we last looked at it?
The last progress report that we had indicated Mr. Schnauer was in front. That's changed as the vote climbs up towards the 100% mark. 76% of the vote in for Glenfield, and Keele for Labor now in front, and apparently fairly comfortably in front.
A cushion of just a little over 1,000 there. After 76% counted, things are looking a lot more comfortable for Labor there. To Hauraki, the seat, of course, where Alistair Thompson was very sanguine about taking it off of the sitting national member, but in fact things after 34% of the vote there looking a little comfortable for national.
Yes, well, the Labor vote not holding up too well there. Kapiti now, this of course is one of the seats which Labor felt rather vulnerable on, but it looks as though with 70% of the vote counted, Margaret Shields, the sitting Labor MP, comfortably ahead, 3,000 votes ahead. We've got a final coming through now, another final. Glenfield, final is in now from Glenfield. A Labor gain. This is effectively, it's a new seat really because of the boundary changes, but on paper it was national. Labor gain now. Keele Labor 8345, Schnauer National 7439, West New Zealand Party 2226, Trubshoe Social Credit 1614, majority on election night of 906, special still to be counted, of course. Judith Keele looks like becoming the new Labor MP for the seat of Glenfield.
All right, we're going back down to the mainland once again now. We're going down to what I was told was almost snowbound Oamaru today, back down into the Waitaki seat, where Mandy Miller is waiting for us at the Oamaru Bridge Club. Are you there, Mandy?
Mr Sutton, how do you feel that your brother is now in Parliament?
Well,
yes, a member of Parliament.
I'm delighted, yes.
Was it unexpected?
Not altogether. I'm aware they've been running a strong campaign there, and he's had a very good team, and naturally we feel very pleased about it.
How do you feel about the possibility of going into Parliament alongside your brother for the first time?
Well, it'll be nice to have someone there I know, won't it?
Are you confident at this stage that you will win the Waitaki seat?
Well, it does look like that.
And what's for the future of Waitaki are you predicting? What kind of future?
Well, the future for Waitaki is very good indeed, although there are undoubtedly some difficult years ahead for the whole of New Zealand.
Well, Jim Sutton, did you discuss with your brother today sort of election tactics or how you thought you'd both go?
Oh, well, he rang up and said that it would be almost impossible for me to lose and that it was quite possible for him to win, and I'm very pleased for him.
Well, thank you very much, Jim Sutton. Goodbye.
So it seems that Jonathan Elworthy has conceded his Waitaki seat to one of the two Suttons in tonight's race. That's Jim Sutton down there in Waitaki. We, in fact, have got something flashing up and down on my chest that tells me that National have held New Plymouth.
Held by National. Yes, we have. It's a final from New Plymouth. And in New Plymouth, we believe that Tony Friedlander has, in fact, held that seat. He has indeed. 9012, the votes for Friedlander. Ida Gaskin, Labour, 8798. Reasonably close there, but Tony Friedlander home. Horn for New Zealand Party, 1505. McPeak for Social Credit, 599. Roborg Values, 136. That's a majority on election night of 214. Another final, West Auckland. West Auckland, the seat where Dale Jones, sitting MP, was actually behind on the boundaries, and in fact he hasn't been able to hold that seat quite comfortably to Mr Elder there, the Labour candidate, 9643. Dale Jones out of Parliament now, 7533. Patel for the New Zealand Party, 1759. Webber for Social Credit, 899. And Tihira for Mana Mutahake, 18. Majority of 2110 on election night, with specials, of course, still to be counted. A swing there of 4.34% to the Labour Party. And another final, Christchurch North in now, Mike Moore's seat, and yes, Mike Moore has held that seat more than comfortably. Moore for Labour, 11649. Demerg for National, 6125. Nicholson, New Zealand Party, 1912. Langridge for Social Credit, 637. Majority there, Mike Moore, 5524. Just sneaked in, Rodney.
It's a small swing to Labour there, isn't it, by comparison with what we've seen?
Yes, well, of course, Mike Moore did have a fairly high profile there before. He'd probably got his hands on all of the potential Labour vote before, but a small swing, 1.87% to Labour, taking Mike Moore's election night majority to 5524. Yoldhurst, another final in the Christchurch metropolitan area. Labour have held Yoldhurst. This, of course, is where the former Labour MP, long-time member of the House, Mick Connolly, has handed over the seat to a schoolteacher down there, Margaret Austin. For Labour, she has the seat, 10769. Joseph for National, 7888. Russell, the New Zealand Party, 1870. Davies, Social Credit, 540. Wilkinson for Values, 165. A majority to Mrs Austin, 2881. A small swing there, 0.54% to Labour, and maybe the fact of that the smallness of that swing there indicates that Mick Connolly, the retiring MP, had a personal following.
Howard Joseph, of course, the former All Black, the national candidate there, and Alan Wilkinson is the co-leader of the Values Party down there in the Yoldhurst electorate. We have a Wellington Central final now. We've already seen, in fact, a concession here. Fran Wild holds the seat for Labour. Rosemary Young-Rouse, 6490. Feast for New Zealand Party, 4027. And Bell Chamber for Social Credit, 267. A majority for Fran Wild on the night of 3535. A swing of 8.55% to the sitting Labour member in Wellington Central.
A major talking point there for Feast, taking such a big share of the vote. Hastings, another final in now. David Butcher holding Hastings for Labour, Butcher for Labour 10448, Brown for National 6435, Slavin New Zealand Party 2624, Rabbits for Social Credit 886, majority of over 4,000 for David Butcher. And he's one of the younger members of the House. He's been in Parliament for a couple of terms now. He'll be quite happy with a majority of that sort, I'm sure. Another final now. Nelson, they're really starting to pour in. Wollaston for Labour has held the national seat and a very, very substantial majority. Interesting there that Mel Courtney, the previous Labour MP for that seat, who polled very, very well at the last election when he stood as an independent, has in fact barely made a showing, only 196 votes for Mel Courtney.
Thanks, Fred. Well, we're going to go down to the Rangitikei electorate now, down to Kevin Ramshaw in Fielding, down there, social credit country with Mr Beetham.
And Mr Beetham hasn't got an enormous audience to greet him, but it's still very enthusiastic. Mr Beetham, you've held East Coast Bays, you're looking good in Pakuranga, you've got a computer prediction that you can hold here. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled that Gary has... Please. I'm absolutely thrilled that Gary Knapp has held his seat. Thrilled pink. Tickled pink. It's a great achievement. Against all the predictions, against all the predictions of all the experts. A tremendous result, and I want to congratulate Gary and everybody up there who's worked so hard for him. I'm thrilled that Neil's got a real chance in Pakuranga, and I'm certainly not conceding in Rangitikei yet.
Yeah. You haven't got a clear result yet. Have you got any indication of how things are going?
Well, the latest information I have is that only 10 votes separate us, so it is indeed a cliffhanger.
If all three of you go to Parliament, where will that put you? Because you've said that your future is a little bit in doubt, haven't you?
No, I don't think I've said that.
You're quite happy to carry on. You're obviously a little worried about the workload of being a member and the party leader.
Why do you say that? I don't think I've ever indicated any such concern.
You're quite happy to carry on?
Of course I'm happy to carry on, but I've got to get re-elected first, and I'm still confident I may be.
Thank you very much indeed.
Brian.
Now time to take a look at the state of the parties. At this stage of the evening, the finals are starting to pour in. We have, in fact, 14 finals declared now, and with those in, Labour making a very strong move towards that magic line of 48, which would make them the government. National so far have only held on to 3 of their seats. Social Credit, definitely 1 confirmed at this stage. So 14 finals in, Labour 10, National 3, Social Credit 1, New Zealand Party still to show up on the seat counts. A final now, another final coming in, Hamilton East, the other Hamilton seat. We've seen 1 fall already. Now we see another Hamilton East seat change hands. In fact, another Cabinet Minister has gone, Dr Ian Shearer. Mr Dillon for Labour there. He has 7863. Ian Shearer for National 6863. Evans, New Zealand Party 2260. Coker for Social Credit 619. A majority of 1,000 on election night, and a swing there of 7.61% to Labour. So 2 Hamilton MPs for National have gone. Mike Minogue and Dr Ian Shearer both losing their seats in Hamilton to Labour.
And in fact, Dr Shearer, of course, the Minister of Broadcasting, not only that, but Minister for Science and Technology and the Environment. He holds 3 portfolios. He always said it was going to be difficult for him there. I think he appreciated he had a fight on his hands, but I strongly suspect he didn't anticipate that 7.61% swing to Labour there for Bill Dillon.
Another final now, Invercargill, the southern provincial city of Invercargill, and there Invercargill National have held it. A quite comfortable majority for Norman Jones against the general swing round the country tonight. 9057 for Jones. Dougal Soper for Labour 7879. Coughlin for the New Zealand Party 1565. Radich for Social Credit 759. Majority there 1178, and a swing of only 1.19% to Labour. So that swing there pegged back by Norman Jones. A bit of a swing against him, but nothing like the national indications that we're getting tonight.
Thank you. Well, the House wouldn't have been the same without Norm Jones. I'm sure all parties would agree on that. We're actually going north again now, up to Tamaki, where John Bishop is standing by at National Party headquarters.
Good evening, and finally welcome to the Prime Minister's Party headquarters here in the electorate of Tamaki. What started as a reasonably optimistic party gathering here has now gone a little quieter. The noise here has quietened down as I'm talking to you right now. After resolving our problems with the links, we're finally able to communicate directly to you. Just a few minutes ago, the Prime Minister and Lady Muldoon were cutting a cake presented to them by the National Party people here. The Prime Minister said that there was obviously a small swing against the government, but they had expected that, and he repeated his prediction that the election would still be close. He then went on to say, well, if the Labor does become the government, what a shambles and what a great opposition National was going to be. However, no one here is yet taking that as a concession that National has lost the election. However, the results that have been coming in have surprised some people, particularly the defeat of the Speaker of the House, Sir Richard Harrison in Hawke's Bay, with a swing of over 9%. That has certainly upset some people here, as indeed have the loss of the two Cabinet Ministers, Dr Shearer in Hamilton, and almost certainly the loss of the Lands Minister, Mr Jonathan Elworthy, in Waitaki. The party is still swinging along here, however, it's not all over yet. And with that, back to Election Centre.
John Bishop reporting there from Tamaki. We have another final in now. It's from Napier. And the final result from Napier shows us that Jeff Braybrook, the sitting member there, has held his seat with an 8.84% swing to Labour, a majority on the night of 6,096. Braybrook, 11,326. Liddell, National, 5230. Mockford, New Zealand Party, 2,418. And Culpit, Social Credit, 621. A majority of 6,096 to Jeff Braybrook, holding Napier for Labour. A final from Palmerston North. Palmerston North held by Trevor de Clean for Labour. And this is one of those interesting seats we talked about earlier, Fred, where whatever happened, Colleen Singleton was going to end up in Parliament because she is a Hansard reporter. So in spite of the fact that she lost the election tonight, she will be in Parliament when they start sitting again. Trevor de Clean holds that seat. A small swing there to Labour, 0.96%. Majority 2,803 to Trevor de Clean in Palmerston North.
St Kilda now, another final. St Kilda, one of the Dunedin city seats. Cullen holding for Labour quite comfortably, 10,755. Clark for National, 5,634. Hayes, New Zealand Party, 2,298. Coles for Social Credit, 1,163. Majority of over 5,000 there and a swing of 4.49% to Labour.
Well, those of you sitting at home have probably started filling in those sheets that you pick up out of the newspapers and what have you, and you'll be getting some indication of exactly what's going on around the country. We're back with more Decision 84 after this commercial break.
There's a brand new range of biscuits available these days, and they come from Farmbake. They're Farmbake family treats, wholesome Farmbake cookies with delicious cream centres. Old English toffee, mocha, tangy ginger, and crunchy peanut. They make everyday occasions something very special, and special occasions unforgettable. New Farmbake family treats with the taste of home from Farmbake.
It's Nescafe. It's Nescafe Classic. You can taste the difference. It's the beans they use. Rich.
Rewarding.
Nescafe Classic. Instant coffee and granules. Full and rich. You can taste the difference.
Nescafe Classic. The full, rich coffee.
What am I going to say? Welcome back to Decision 84. We have some more final results for you. Pencils at the ready. First of all, from Avon. And I don't think this will come as any surprise, where Mary Batchelor, after a fairly rough ride over being renominated here for the seat, has in fact held her seat for Labour in spite of a quite surprising 0.65% swing to National. But Mary Batchelor back in Avon for Labour. Her majority tonight still very, very safe, 7,184.
Yes, interesting there, though, that Mary Batchelor, in fact, was challenged for the nomination there, and nominations had to be reopened. So a majority of 7,184, but a small swing towards National. Colin James has a comment on that one.
I think one needs to look at the that swing to National is in fact National regaining second place from Social Credit.
Fine, thanks, Colin. Christchurch Central, another final there, and no surprise, I guess, Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Mr Palmer, hanging on for Labour, a skin of his teeth, barely 7,615 now his majority. Palmer, Labour, 11,834. Willie for National, 4,219. Ludeman, New Zealand Party, 1,827. Poundsford, Social Credit, 596. Swing of 1.37%.
I want to say what seats we should be watching.
Down there in Christchurch Central, as I think I mentioned earlier, Jeff Palmer and Tony Willie, both of them solicitors down there. So it's just a small swing. That's quite a surprising swing in many ways, I suppose, because Geoffrey Palmer is, in many ways, the blue-eyed boy of the Labour Party at the moment.
On the other hand, you have to take into account that Christchurch has been a strong Labour centre now for some time, and probably the party has just about taken the limit of its vote in that city. Another final now, Roskill, a Labour holding that seat, Phil Goff for Labour, 10,209, Knowles for National, 6,427, Matthews, New Zealand Party, 1,864, Lai for Social Credit, 732, and majority there, 3,782.
All right, we're heading north again, up to National Party headquarters, and in fact we've got Tamaki and John Bishop up there.
Country say, oh gosh, you know, we've had this government for a long time for a change, we want to have a look at somebody else. It only takes one term before they decide that they made a mistake, and that's very, very clear at the present time.
You think they will last one term, sir?
What's that?
You think they will last a full term?
They've got a majority that, with their discipline, they're not allowed to vote against the party. They will go through a full term. Yes.
Right, what's your political future, Prime Minister?
My political future is Leader of the Opposition and then Prime Minister again 3 years from now.
You've got no doubts that you'll last the 3-year term as leader?
No doubts whatever. You know, I mean, the people who have survived around the country against pressure are my blokes. And I wouldn't say that those who lost aren't. I'm terribly sorry to lose someone like Ian Shearer in Hamilton, who is a wonderful man. I'm sorry to lose Jonathan Elworth. If I go any further beyond that, I start to get into the area where discretion says I shouldn't say any more.
Did Labour win, Prime Minister, or did National lose?
No, Labour didn't win. If you look at the way the votes fell, the spurious appeal of Jones, the Greedies, has pulled... That's what beat Dick Harrison, for example, the Greedies. Now, the Greedies are the ones that are going to suffer under a Labour government. And 3 years from now, they'll all be on our side. You can put the ring around it.
How much is this an anti-Muldoon vote, sir?
About as much as the Grant is you. Go back to Australia and tell them that and stay there.
Prime Minister, how are you feeling on the inside?
On the what?
On the inside.
What inside?
The inside, in your mind now, Prime Minister.
Fighting. I'm feeling very relaxed. You know, I'm not going to burst into tears or anything like that. This is politics. You win a few, you lose a few, and this one's been won and lost on a spurious issue. I've got total confidence in the people of this country, and 3 years from now we're going to be back in a landslide, and I mean a real landslide.
How about you, Lady Melbourne?
It'll be rough.
Mrs. Longley well, and I would invite her to come down this week, Wednesday or Thursday, so I can show her Vogel House.
Yeah. All right. No.
It's Robert Muldoon there at his electorate headquarters and conceding at this stage, but some good news for the National Party as we were recording that, or rather as we were taking that, because Rangitikei final through there, and they have in fact National have taken that seat. It's one that has swung to and fro on our indicators throughout the evening. Not much in it all the way through. First we thought National, then we thought Mr. Beetham might hold on, but no, the final result on election night anyway, Mr. Marshall taking it for National, 7710. Beetham for Social Credit has 7480. Walpole, the Labour candidate there, 2347. McPherson for New Zealand Party, 969. A majority, though, of only 230, but special votes there might affect the result. Probably not, though. That's probably a large enough majority for Mr Marshall to put him out of the reach of any change with specials. A swing towards the National Party from Social Credit, 2.44. Mr Beetham, who lost some ground there with the boundary changes, losing the seat of Rangatiki.
Well, while that will come as good news for the Prime Minister, Sir Robert Muldoon, up in Tamaki, where he just seems to have conceded defeat, there's bad news here for National from Ohio, where we have a final. And that is again for Labour, where Peter Dunn has defeated the sitting member Hugh Templeton.
Another change there, but we have the opportunity now to speak with Bruce Beetham in his Fielding electorate. No, not quite. We'll hope to be back there very shortly. That Ohariu result, 1337, a majority, fairly substantial
look
majority.
Look at the New Zealand vote there.
The
That's
interesting
Bob Jones,
thing, though, is that if you assume there, as I think we must, that Mr Jones has taken very substantially from Mr Templeton. Colin, this is, of course, a fairly major result for the New Zealand Party.
Yes, it is indeed, and it gives Labour the seat, as Mr Jones threatened he would, and apparently we're just going over to talk to him now.
OK, that's a look at the Ohariu thing. We're going to go to talk now to the New Zealand Party headquarters with our reporter, Ted Sheehan.
Well, Malcolm MacDonald, you're the president of the New Zealand Party. You've just seen the Ohariu result. What's your reaction?
Well, it's disappointing. We were hopeful Bob would take it, and we were of the view, as indeed a lot of people are, that Bob was able to offer this country something that no one else could. And it's disappointing that the people of Ohariu didn't take up his challenge in his leader's wrap-up address last night.
What's your opinion of the result nationally, particularly where the New Zealand Party is concerned?
Well, clearly we've decimated social credit, although the irony is they've still got one person in the House, and that's a great tragedy because it's a religion, not politics. So that's satisfying. I suppose in a negative way it's satisfying that we've also had the effect of decimating National in many seats, particularly in Hawke's Bay and one or two others. So it's satisfying in that regard, but of course politics in this country is all about winning seats, and we haven't won one yet.
What's the future of the New Zealand Party now?
Oh, well, we've got a significant percentage of the vote already.
Wasn't a party member shooting himself, by the way?
No, not yet. But, look, we've got a significant percentage of the vote, and that's satisfying. We're clearly the third party, despite the aberration on East Coast Bays.
Malcolm MacDonald, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ted.
Mr Beetham, National just sneak in. How do you feel?
Well, naturally, I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I had thought that the Rangatiki electorate would continue to support me. My opponent has an election majority. It is conceivable that could be cut away by specials. But on the face of it, it does look as if I have been defeated. And naturally, I'm disappointed.
What made the difference? Was it the boundary changes?
Yes, I'd say that in the finish, the National Party got me. They tried everything. And boundary changes in the finish seem to have got me. I think also, of course, the Labour vote here has handed the seat back to National. I don't know that they've served the interests of their own party very well by doing that. Remains to be seen, I imagine.
Not much time to think of the future so far, but any brief thoughts?
No, I haven't had time for that.
Mr Beetham, thank you. It's now over to Rob Neal in Christchurch.
Jeffrey Barber, do you now consider yourself to be Deputy Prime Minister?
I consider myself to be the Deputy Prime Minister-elect.
What's the timetable from here?
Well, of course, you have to wait for the return of the writs. That usually takes about 10 days. Then you have to have the swearing in of the new government. You have to have a caucus where the new cabinet is elected. There is a lot of hard work ahead.
But do you think there's a good working majority for Labour?
Yes, I think that is now clear.
Jim Anderton, as party president, who secured this victory for Labour?
I think the whole Labour movement, so the party was organised as never before. The parliamentary party did a tremendous job inside Parliament, hounding the National Party, and the trade union movement and the Labour Party working together have shown the majority of New Zealanders want an honest and a new style of government, and they're going to get that from David Long and Jeffrey Palmer, and all of those Labour members have been elected today.
And with both of you here, are you going to dispel any suggestions of disunity?
If this party here today is evidence of disunity, then let's have more of it.
That's Christchurch and Decision 84.
Rob Neal there in Christchurch with some of the senior members of the Labour Party. Some more finals now. They're pouring in. Final first from Rotorua. National seat, National hold Rotorua. Paul East there, National 8065. ARPS for Labour 7384. Orbiton New Zealand Party 1934. Steel Social Credit 542. Swing towards Labour of 3.93%, but a majority still for Mr East of 681. Another final, Gisborne, a seat which has sitting MP Bob Bell behind because of the boundary changes. He's even further behind now. Alan Wallbank on his third attempt takes Gisborne. Wallbank Labour 9489. Bell for National 7331. De Silva, the New Zealand Party 1279. Smith Social Credit 624. Majority there of over 2,000.
Back to school, Fred, down to Marlborough to have a look at the final result from Marlborough, where Doug Kidd, in fact, holds that seat for National. But look at that majority, 390.
Well, it's certainly been cut back there, and a swing of 3.68% towards Labour, but Doug Kidd on election night holding on, and Special shouldn't unseat him. He holds on to that seat of Marlborough for National.
George MacDonald putting up a game fight there against Doug Kidd, a man who's not been without controversy in the House. Of course, he's a very strong supporter of a hard line on a number of women's issues.
Well, let's have a look now at the state of the parties as they are at this stage of the evening. We have 35 finals into the system now. Labour well out in front, 23 seats. National for 11, Social Credit 1, New Zealand Party not on the board. 48 seats is the objective. As soon as a party reaches that, they're going to become the government.
Oh, it's still quite an exciting race. We hope you're going to bear with us. Just time to duck out and have a cup of coffee. We'll be back after this commercial break.
I find fresh air and time to relax do wonders for tension or mild headaches. But family demands don't always permit time out. And that's when I know I can trust Disprin. Disprin works quickly to relieve pain and discomfort, so I can keep going. Disprin helps when other members of the family suffer colds, fever or pain. Disprin is one of the most important items in our medicine cabinet. Disprin, trusted pain relief for all the family.
Hi, I'm John Davidson, and this is a story of commitment. Commitment to great performance. When a new car is released, how can the people who make it be sure it's going to have the right handling and performance for all the countries where it's sold? As we all know, every country has different road surfaces, even different kinds of roads, and some very different ways of driving. How then do you tune a car to a country? One company, right here in New Zealand, has found the answer. Most of you have only just seen this new Corolla, but Toyota has had it in New Zealand for almost a year. For all that time, a champion New Zealand driver has been fine-tuning this car to this country. The man whose advice has made new Corolla a real performance machine for New Zealand drivers is Chris Amon, and the results are quite spectacular.
Without doubt, this is the best handling New Zealand production car I've driven.
Great performance. The story of how to tune a car to a country. Toyota, you're so right.
Well, welcome back to Decision 84, where it looks very much as though the decision has in fact been made, and we will now have a look at the overall percentage vote change. Now, that's the way that the country has been moving with all the finals that are so far in, all totalled up, and we can see there that the Labour's share of the vote, this is a comparison with the last election. Labour's share of the vote since the last election is up 3.9 percentage points. National's share of the vote is in fact down 2.6 percentage points. The big loser on the night, 13% down for Social Credit, and the big winner, 11.9% for the New Zealand Party. Of course, we have to point out for the New Zealand Party that because they didn't have any candidates at the last election, because they didn't exist as a party, then everything they have shows as a gain.
have your attention, please? I want to thank the New Zealand Labour Party wherever you are, in the small provincials, in the big towns, everywhere. Behind me, we have a Prime Minister.
Briefly for a minute. A short time ago, Sir Robert Muldoon telephoned me and very generously congratulated me and the party on this election result. He spoke as well to Naomi, and Lady Muldoon spoke to her and assured her of their commitment to seeing that there was a transition which was appropriate and smooth. Can I say to you all, whether your background was Labour or National Social Credit of New Zealand Party, I want us to go from here tonight working for New Zealand, rejoicing that we have had this victory, and then setting ourselves to work together. Can I thank particularly those people in my electorate who've been so faithful. To Denise and the workers in that electoral office who look after the place. To Glenn and the people in the party who have worked so hard. To all the people who have held office over the years, Janet and Ben Mackay, people who have been all round, all with us. I am so grateful to you. To the New Zealand Labour Party for the organisation. Tomorrow morning, I am asking Jeff Palmer to come up here to speak to him about the transition. Then we're going to have a bit of a rest, and on Monday we'll work. And I expect you to work too. And I want especially to thank all of my staff, and a lot of them are here tonight. Some can't. Margaret is in Wellington, but there are all people around us, and they have been relishing the time to be with the people that I know in Mangere. I want to thank all those people who have been so supportive in all the years of my upbringing and of my pride to be here with them and with my mother tonight, and my pride in being here with my wife. And thank you so much for all your work and your votes and your giving. And now we have to start deciding that we're going to really get stuck in for New Zealand, and we're going to do that. Thank you very much.
David Longy there, not surprisingly, quite elated at Mangere. And we can look now at the gains and losses so far. These are the confirmed gains and losses so far for this evening. Labour has made 5 gains, confirmed, no losses. National has made 1 gain, has had 5 losses. Social Credit have had 1 loss. That's the state of the gains and losses at this stage of the evening.
Frank, we've got a final now from Rangiora, Fred. This is a seat, of course, that Derek quickly gave up just after the announcement of the snap election. And Jim Gerard has held that seat although that's not much of a majority on election night there. A swing of 4.13% to Labour. Jim Gerrard holds it over the Labour candidate Brian Tomlinson, with a significant vote there for the New Zealand Party.
It certainly does look as though, as well as having lost the government benches, National is likely to have quite a few people in rather marginal seats for the next Parliament. Not a big majority there for Mr Gerrard, and possibly interesting to speculate on the effect of Derek Quigley resigning from the seat.
Yes. Richard Gerrard, known as Jim to his mates. Horowhenua now, a final result from there.
And a Labour gain in Horowhenua. This is certainly one of the seats that Labour was keen to take. King Labour 9713, Thompson, the sitting member for National, 9223, Wiggins New Zealand Party 1670, Holden Social Credit 929. Majority 490, swing towards Labour 360.
A final from Selwyn now, Ruth Richardson's seat. After a somewhat shaky start in that electorate, she's really won the electorate over, and there's absolutely no doubt about her popularity down there now. She holds that with an election night majority of 3,113. Caused a bit of a stir in the House late last year, of course, when she wanted to breastfeed her baby and was
Another final now, Rodney. Can we have a look at Western Hutt? Yes, Western Hutt there, and Labour of Hell. Terrace for Labour 9586, a majority on the night 3924, and a big swing to Labour 8.54%.
Final from Ashburton, down to, well, there's never any doubt about this, I suspect, although that's a lot closer than I guess Mr Talbot might have anticipated. In fact, that's a quite stupendous swing to Labour, 8.52%. Mr Talbot in a lot of difficulty there holding off that challenge.
Well, I think we can go across now to the New Zealand Party headquarters. Yes, indeed we can, and there's the party leader.
He'll come to you, I can't hear a thump. He will come to you. You've seen your own result from Ohara.
I haven't, actually. I gather I didn't win, but I haven't seen the result.
You actually came third behind Mr Templeton. Did that disappoint you?
Oh, I would have taken a special joy in coming second, and even more pleasure in winning, obviously. But there we are. Of course, we're disappointed at not winning seats, especially as we appear, and this is only an impression, to have got perhaps 11 or 12, if not higher, across the country, 11 or 12%. And it's particularly ironic, but that's life, that we seem to have polled at least twice as many votes as Social Credit, and possibly nearer 3 times as many, and they've obviously got at least one seat at this stage. I've been watching television, so I'm not really up with the play.
You were aiming for about 20% of the vote, weren't you?
Yes, we were. Well, obviously we were aiming for 100%, but we did have expectations. We've had a good campaign. We've pulled the bigger crowds, and we had hopes that we might get as high as 20 cents. Obviously I'm disappointed. But
what's your reaction to the idea of Labour forming the next government?
Oh, well, that was always obvious, so there's no great surprise there. I always thought that they'd win by 20, and I've been saying so, but I think it's a very good thing overall for the country, because it's sad for the Prime Minister. He's a great figure in history and so on, but I think it was getting a little sick, a lot of things that were happening, and I don't know why he doesn't quietly go and leave it at that. He can always take up lawn bowls or something, but I think it's a very healthy thing, because this country is basically of the right philosophically, and those principles have just been abandoned in recent years. And
what are your personal plans now that you don't have a seat and you have a party waiting for another election in 3 years?
Yes, well, you've got to remember what we've achieved is quite extraordinary. We've done it in 9 months. You know, we didn't have a party 9 months ago, and it really is quite an extraordinary result. I mean, we've whacked a party that's been going for 30 years. So I suspect had there been a November election, we would have done a great deal better. One only has to look at John Feast's result. John's been selected some time and consequently has been able to campaign. And we're seeing the results of that.
Bob Jones, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob Jones, who, while he may not have won a seat tonight, has certainly achieved one of his goals, and that was, it seems, to get rid of the Prime Minister. We're talking now to Dorothy McNabb. Dorothy, what do you think about Mr Jones and the New Zealand Party as a long-time National Party supporter yourself?
Oh, well, I think he was most definitely a spoiler. I think he's a bruiser. He's a great entertainer. He's got a really attractive group of people around him, but there's no doubt about it. He's had the role of a spoiler. He hasn't got a seat, but he has spoiled the result as far as national and social credit are concerned.
Do you resent what he's done to the National Party tonight?
No, I can hardly resent it because, I believe that anyone who wants to stand up and be counted in New Zealand should be allowed to. But the purpose behind it, and he's made no doubt about what the purpose was to get rid of Rob Muldoon and the administration. Well, I can hardly be happy. I can hardly expect to be happy about it.
All right, Dorothy McNabb, thank you very much.
Some more finals coming in now. Littleton, the first of those. Littleton, the Christchurch seat of Littleton, and Hercus, not surprisingly, holding on there to Littleton, 11,057, giving him a majority of 4,642. And quite a comfortable majority there for Anne Hercus, but a swing of only 2.31% to Labour. Waitaki now, another final. Waitaki final coming in. This is one of the more interesting seats, of course. We've been watching it throughout the night, and as we had indicated from the seat when we crossed there earlier, Mr Sutton for Labour has in fact taken that seat, 8064. Another Cabinet Minister down, Jonathan Elworthy, 7565, 499, the majority on election night. Pakuranga, another seat of great interest in Pakuranga. That's one where we saw Social Credit ahead. In fact, Social Credit have taken Pakuranga, so they make up for, to some degree, for the loss of Rangatike there. Pakuranga has gone to Social Credit. Another National MP, Pat Hunt, unseated. A majority of only 419, but a swing to Social Credit of 4.81%. Mangere, a final now from Mangere, not surprising, I guess. One of the big majorities there. David Longy, not only Prime Minister, but holds on to his seat with a majority of 7,788. But it looks like a very low turnout there in Mangere for the parties other than for Labour. A 3.41% swing towards Labour in Mangere. Another final now, Kaimai. In Kaimai, Mr Townsend for National has held on to that seat. The opposition really split between the New Zealand Party and Labour there, with Social Credit back into fourth place. A very strong showing there, in fact, by the New Zealand Party. Majority of 3,316 for Mr Townsend in National, holding the seat for National. Matamata, another seat in the same general area. And in the Matamata seat, National have again held long-serving MP Jack Luxton holding on there, a big majority, 5,311, but still a big swing to Labour, not, of course, making any appreciable impact on the majority, though. New Lynn, another final from New Lynn. Labour hold New Lynn. Jonathan Hunt, 10,495. That gives him a majority on election night of 5,846, a swing towards Labour of 2.17%. Miramar now, a seat which National had some hopes of picking up if things had gone their way. They haven't. A big majority now for Mr Nielsen in a previously marginal seat. Majority of over 3,000 votes. A big swing there, 7.43% towards Labour. Another final, Otara. Colin Moyle, sitting MP in Otara. Moyle Labour 9805, a big majority 6057, a swing of 7.32% towards Labour in Mangere. Again, Mana Motuhake not really showing up in the general seats, only 86 votes there. Pahiatua, a safe national seat, not surprisingly, again, John Falloon holding that. The majority there has gone up, I beg your pardon, it's sitting at about 5,000, and a swing towards Labour of 6.61% trims that back. Still a most comfortable majority there for Mr. Falloon. Porrua, a safe Labour seat in the Wellington metropolitan area. Dr. Gerard Wall holding on to that for Labour, again comfortably, 4.748, but a slight swing against him, 1.91% swing towards National in Porrua. Tarawera. Next final from Tarawera. McLean for National holding that seat, 8.423 his vote count. A big majority, 3.436, despite a swing towards Labour of 4.19%. National holding Tarawera. Tasman, and the seat which one of our studio guests will be interested to see tonight. Shirley for Labour, holding on to that Tasman seat, 8.997. Hunt for National, 7.200, and a majority there of 1.797, a swing of 1.66% towards National, so maybe the absence of Sir Wallace Rowling Rodney did in fact have some effect on that. A bit of a swing towards National there in Tasman.
Yes, Adrian Hayter picking up 1,500 votes there for the New Zealand Party.
State of the parties, 55 finals in. 32 have now gone towards Labour, 21 to National, 2 towards Social Credit, and that line, 48 seats not too far away now for Labour.
40 seats still to be decided there, Fred, but Labour now only requiring another 16 seats to fill the Treasury benches.
And on our prediction anyway, they'll be going well beyond that tonight.
All right, we're going to go for another little drink. I hope you'll do the same. We're back after this commercial break.
Pimples love parties and usually arrive soon after your invitation. Don't panic. Hit them with Oxy a few days before the big night. Oxy combats bacteria and helps open, dry and clear up pimples quickly. Send pimples packing. With Oxy 10 lotion or new Flesh Tone Oxy cover. Covers while it clears.
5, 4, we've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
When you're 260 miles above the Earth, you don't take chances, especially when it comes to sinus congestion and head colds. That's why Actifed is carried and used by NASA's astronauts in space. So when you want fast, effective relief from sinus congestion, hay fever, or a heavy head cold, ask for Actifed, the one astronauts use.
Welcome back, and our computer tells me that we're now in a position to make a prediction of the final result for the evening, and our prediction is that Labour, by the end of tonight, will hold 57 seats, National will hold 36, Social Credit will hold 2, and the New Zealand Party will not show. Colin, at this stage, how accurate can we say that this prediction is? Do we have enough indication to say that the computer is telling us within a seat or so?
It is within a seat or so, yes. Interestingly, we're now moving beyond, in order to pick this up, we're moving beyond our range of critical seats, and we're having to rely on progresses for some seats. East Cape, for instance, is so far showing a slight Labour lead, and Wairarapa is showing also a slight Labour lead. So those two are a bit dicey at the moment in our prediction. The swing overall in the country seems to be settling down to about 4.5%. Our indicator booth suggests 4.6. The finals that are in so far, about 4.3. Now, that's a similar sort of swing to the one that Labour got in 1972.
So we're certainly looking towards a major move, though it may be 1 or 2 seats, possibly either way, of the figures that we've just seen.
Well, I would watch seats like Wairarapa, East Cape. Those are two, and Whangarei, which we don't yet have a final for.
Of course, there are always casualties on election night. One of those we've seen tonight, the leader of the Social Credit Party, George Beetham. We have, Bruce Beetham, and I have George Bryant here. First of all, a reaction about Mr. Beetham losing his seat.
Well, Rodney, I think there'll be thousands of people of all political colours up and down the country who would be most saddened
at Bruce Beetham's loss tonight.
But to some extent, that's tempered by the exciting addition of Neil Morrison.
Yes, I predicted. I thought Neil would take the seat, and I'm very pleased about that, and also very pleased about Gary Knapp winning East Coast.
You still think you've got another one up your sleeve?
Could be, but I doubt it.
All right, George Bryant, thank you very much.
Thank you.
More finals coming through now, thick and fast. Bay of Islands, the first one up. And in the Bay of Islands, which of course is a seat that Social Credit was very keen to see, no real showing there by Les Hunter this time. Neil Austin holding on to that seat for National with a majority of 2942 on election night. A swing, in fact, of 12.77% back towards the National Party from Social Credit. Final for Fendleton. Christchurch seat of Fendleton and National hold Fendleton. So they still have one seat left in the Christchurch area. Philip Burden holding for National in Fendleton, and still with a reasonably comfortable majority there, 1,275. A marginal swing, in fact, back towards Philip Burden for National, 0.21%. Timaru now. Sir Basil Arthur holds Timaru, a seat he's been in for a long time now. Sir Basil Arthur, former Cabinet Minister for Labour, 10,419, a majority of 2,143, despite the boundary changes going a bit against him. 1.45% swing towards Labour in Timaru. Tauranga, a seat with a lot of interest in it because of the showing there of the New Zealand Party, and in fact they've swept up there into second place. Winston Peters, who was of course the MP for 3 years and then lost his seat to Colin Moyle last time, he comes back into the House, this time for the seat of Tauranga, where the former Cabinet Minister Keith Allen resigned. He has a majority of 4,469, and it looks as though the other parties, New Zealand Labour and Social Credit, really fought each other to a standstill there.
Swing
very,
there,
very close.
Fred, 33.41% of the New Zealand
Party.
Well, of
course, that's from a nil
right.
base, so but 33.41% of the vote in Tauranga is a pretty good showing by a new party. Another final, Te Atatu, a Labour seat, held by Labour. Dr. Michael Bassett there, over 10,000 his vote, and a majority of 4,600 plus. 2.68% the swing there towards Labour. State of the parties now, 60 finals in, 34 seats for Labour. They're getting close to that 48 line and becoming the government. 24 seats still held by National, 2 for Social Credit, and none for the New Zealand Party, though they've made some strong showings in a number of seats. 60 seats in, 35 still to go, 34 seats there for Labour, moving towards the position of government. Another final. Birkenhead this time, where the deputy leader of the National Party is standing, and he holds the seat, 1,618, his majority. A small swing there to Labour, probably the personal standing of Mr Macleay, keeping that general swing down to those proportions. Another final for Clutha. Robin Gray holds on there for National, not surprising. It was a marginal seat at one stage, but the boundary changes made that a very safe seat for National. Majority of over 4,000, and a marginal swing, in fact, to National in Clutha. Dunedin West. Mathewson for Labour has 10,168 votes, and interestingly, the former Labour MP for what was a large part of this new electorate, Brian McDonnell, getting 2,500 odd votes, but nowhere near enough to upset Clive Mathewson, the Labour candidate there. His majority getting up towards the 6,000 mark, and a big swing towards Labour. Final for Franklin. In Franklin, Bill Birch, Minister for Energy, holds on more than comfortably, almost 5,000 his majority, despite a swing towards Labour of around the national average, 4.39% there.
OK, just while we're pausing here, we're going to go to Jim Greener from the Wellington Labour Party headquarters. Are you there, Jim?
Yes, I am indeed. Not surprisingly, there's great jubilation at the Labour Party headquarters in Wellington. They don't crack open the champagne at the Labour Party, but the beer and still wine is flowing freely. And there have been absolute pandemonium when those finals were announced, particularly in Waitaki, Horowhenua and Oharia, where Labour had won. Now, these are Labour Party supporters here. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm absolutely delighted. This is the 13th election that I've followed for the Labour Party, and I think it's lucky 13.
How about you?
We're very grateful and very happy for the overseas people
and also the island and New Zealand pond. We're very grateful and very, very happy tonight.
And a brief comment from you.
Well, I'm absolutely rapt. A lot of people have worked really hard for the victory tonight, and they deserve it, and I think it's really good for New Zealand.
Thanks very much. This is Jim Greenough at the Labour Party headquarters. Back to the studio now.
Thanks, Jim. More finals with us now. Papatoetoi's final is with us. And in Papatoetoi, Eddie Isby holds on to that seat. 9016